what about your physical space? And in fact, this is something that has been the subject of a lot of research, and Sam, as we'll see, is one of the, if not the world expert on this, how your physical space manifests your personality. And there's a couple of mechanisms about why, if you could snoop through someone's dorm room, it would tell you about them.
That's right. We have to think about, how is it that we connect to our places? And I urge you to think about your own spaces as we talk about this. And there are essentially three basic mechanisms that we talk about. The first is what we call identity claims. And identity claims is this idea that we are deliberately broadcasting to the world things about our attitudes, our values, our goals, our identity with the things we do. Now, some of those things are outside of spaces. So when somebody wears their university on their shirt or their hat, or they have their favorite band, or they have some other type of art or icon, they're deliberately sending a signal to others. When they have perhaps, a quote from their favorite philosopher at the bottom of their email, or a bumper sticker. There are many ways in which we deliberately send signals to others. And in most cases, these are quite authentic. People are not trying to, hide what they're like. They want to be known. This also happens in people's physical spaces. So in people's physical spaces, they may send signals of something, maybe some religious value or some cultural value or some person that's very important, with the aim of telling people about what they are like. So that's one of the ways people deliberately affect their spaces to send signals to others. But you might also deliberately affect your space not to send signals to others, but to affect how you think and feel. So when you are very, want to get pumped up for an exciting night on the town or going to the gym, you might play one sort of music, whereas if you want to relax after a stressful day at school, you play something else. So some of the things you do to your space are all about trying to affect your thoughts and your feelings. And this is what we call thought and feeling regulators. And that happens in your space too. You might have something that's a reminder of a happy time or a happy place, or something that's relaxing. So those are two different things, but there's also another way you can be connected to your space.
So you can also have things that are not about deliberately projecting your identity to others, not about deliberately trying to regulate your own thoughts and feelings, but just the behavioral residue of your everyday life. So if you think about, as you go through your life, you're behaving in particular ways that are consistent with your disposition and traits, and that leaves residue. So for instance, if you went into my closet, you would see evidence of the fact that I'm a little bit socially anxious, and so I change my clothes multiple times before I leave the house. And I'm also low on conscientiousness in some ways, and so I don't hang up the things that I have tried on. And so if you walk into my closet, it's just clothes kind of like hanging out of all of the drawers and put it on top of the armoire. And that is residue of my personality.